Good evening from Bali, everyone. It's Anifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I thought I would talk about that other aspect of grief recovery and processing grief and changing it into alchemizing our experiences. And I talked in the last video a lot about this whole idea of the term enshrinement, of when a person passes away, most often people, and someone that is a loved one, people will put a halo effect on their head, so we call it enshrinement, of this was a really good person, or it might be the last moment that you speak with that person, or I forgive you for everything and you're really good and everything's forgiven. And very, very fast, all of that is done in that moment for some. If there is that opportunity, some do that. Sometimes it's just in terms of a job, as I mentioned, that someone could lose a job, someone could leave a job and be able to say that, okay, this was really good about it, or at least I got a severance package, and that's the good, and then it's done. I don't even want to think about it anymore. And that's the biggest thing that I want to draw our attention to, is that most people don't want to really look into things about how they're feeling, because the minute we say that I've forgiven that person, I'm over it, I let that go, I don't carry that with me, it's so yesterday, it's so 10 years ago, it's so 20 years ago, whichever way we look at it. So death especially is very easy to focus on this way, because many people can speak about a person who has passed away many years ago in the exact same way as when they have just passed. So the time doesn't really make differences. Many people think that time heals, and in grief recovery, we do recognize that time doesn't. And today, I'd love for you to recognize that it doesn't heal. People will say, "Oh, you learn to cope, but you don't heal." Coping is good too, but there is an actual completion of a grief, which is what this process and Vedic tradition also talks about. So I thought today I would talk about the other side of that, of someone passes away or some loss or grief has happened and everything was not good about it. It's all a mind can remember. Everything was not good. And I thought the easiest one here is about a very loved relationship that ends, not because of death, but because of a breakup, a divorce, a separation, some truth that has been discovered, either that there is just an incompatibility, there could be cheating, there could be financial concerns that have happened, and all of these different things can happen in a relationship that can stop a relationship. And of course, relationships can also extend into friendships and of course professional relationships. But if we look at relationships, and I thought the easiest one is, let's say, a married or a long-term commitment relationship. And when there's a loss, where for whatever reason, we don't even have to go into the reason right now, but if we think for a reason that decision was made, either someone left another person, or perhaps a couple just isn't speaking so much anymore. So even though living together, it's really already a loss if people aren't speaking with each other, loving one another consciously. And so there is this idea of this loss happens for a lot of people, even when they are staying in a relationship, even a workplace that someone doesn't love, and are staying in that. There's not really an authentic energy going there. And oftentimes this is creating a grief that just builds up over time. And when we think about this, a lot of people will look at what they do not like, whether in a workplace, in a friendship, in a relationship, of, yeah, but I just don't talk about it because nothing ever happens, nothing changes. And whoever is speaking, does not recognize that it's still being carried in the person, in the mind, in the body. And so this idea of the term used is bedevilment, which is why I called this video what I did. That devil, what a devil. We can look at the boss at a workplace that you might not be happy with, and what a devil they were. I'm so happy to leave that space, or that relationship. They were just so not good. And so again, I'm just using devil because I thought it would be something that might stay in your mind. And because the term for this in grief recovery is bedevilment, is that everything is then painted by that brush. Yeah, they're always late when they come in, whether it's a relationship or if it's a working relationship, a professional relationship. We can find all of the things that that boss isn't doing right because they don't speak kindly to me. They're so curt. They're so indifferent to the work I do. They never think that I do enough. That can happen in a relationship in terms of romantic, personal relationship too. And oftentimes those things aren't even talked about in those relationships because, as I mentioned, many people do kind of express that in some way or another for a little while, and then they get tired of expressing it. And when we recognize that grief is still being carried, and grief, again, being that space of two different emotions. So you imagine someone is in a relationship, they're not happy, but at least this person is kind of with me. Someone's in a job that they're not happy with, they're not happy with a boss or not happy with a particular coworker, and they're like, yeah, I just don't talk to them anymore because nothing ever changes. That grief is carried by the individual. And so now when we look at this energy, which is a low vibration energy, we can understand why so many workplaces and so many homes carry this energy of low vibration. And this means that there's some work to be done. And most people really think, I'm over that. I'm happy to be at this work. It's okay. It's good. I get a good paycheck. It's good. It doesn't deal with the actual grief that's going on. And same thing happens in relationships where people just don't want to talk about it, don't want to reflect on it. And for whatever reason, it seems like too much work and I don't have time is usually the biggest reason, and not really a great reason. So today I didn't have any quotations for you, but I really wanted to shed a light on this awareness, because as we carry this energy, anyone, and you can imagine, we can already say grief and loss is happening for everyone in so many different ways. And if we don't recognize that it takes work, so if I think that I thought about it, and yeah, I've definitely processed it. I spoke to my counselor, I spoke to my doctor, and they said, yeah, it's pretty normal in this situation. So if I'm normal, that's good. And that's as far as people want to go, because it's easier. It's what we've all done for many, many years. And I can tell you that for myself, I had already studied grief recovery and already worked with a number of people before I went through my divorce. And I can tell you the thought of energy emanating from me, even though I also was familiar with energy work, it didn't hit me in terms of, wow, this space is not so content, and what is it sending out into the world? Because in those spaces, we're very, I just have to get through my day sort of energy is what I see with myself. I definitely felt that way. And feel with others too, that when I hear their experiences or have heard their experiences, it's a very similar spot of I just need to get through this, and that's not even now. Not recognizing that that energy is coming from us now, unless we consciously choose to work on it. And this requires a bit of careful attention to detail. Now again, this doesn't mean that every single grief that a person has, they need to process it this deeply. Grief as a general awareness of grief, these conflicting emotions, requires attention with compassion, with humility, with understanding of our own role and another's role, with this energy of forgiveness, which is not just, I kind of forgive myself for being in that relationship which wasn't good for me, with gratitude for some of the toughest relationships we go through are the ones that inspire us to be better. And it's our soul's journey that we're really on. And if our soul has connected us with another soul, and sometimes when we're falling in love, even with a job, it's like, this is the best thing that could happen to me. And over time, we start saying this is not right or that's not right. And same thing happens in all sorts of relationships. And now this needs that careful attention. What am I carrying? So even if I don't speak about it, even though I put a friendly smile on my face, how am I really feeling? And am I really acknowledging and nurturing that space within me that can allow alchemy in this situation, whichever situation we're in? And once we understand how to work through grief, it's not just this grief or that grief. It's that conscious awareness of moment by moment, I am in this space that puts out the best energy from this space. Does that mean that I'm never not happy? No, there's so much emotion that can come through us. And if we see everything as a blessing, then what am I going to learn from this? What can I learn from this? How will this improve me as a soul on this journey? And this is very different than, oh, that person better smarten up, or they better change, or they're going to lose their job if they keep on doing that, or all of those things we say very easily, and we always want other people to change. And then we need to recognize, even when I think something like that, I send that energy from me. So for myself, as I'm saying, I had learned grief recovery and practiced it and taught it for quite a while before a few years. Maybe I'm making, little catches in there just because I'm embarrassed that, the mind feels that once you know something, you will be able to do that regularly and consistently to help yourself through every situation. And that is the whole intention of grief recovery. Yet everything always requires relearning and remembering and repracticing. So last video I had mentioned that there were 3 words of Vedic words that I wanted to share with you in this video. The first one is Avidya. Avidya is a lack of knowledge, so not knowing. And they might use the term ignorance, that I just don't know. So if someone doesn't know that grief makes an effect on ourselves and the world around us, for a while, they don't know. And then suddenly something really hits home. So it could be this video or videos like this, or maybe books, that suddenly someone recognizes this is really making an impact. And sometimes it's a person's own health, that I can't sleep because I can't stop thinking about this or that. When that happens, someone goes to their doctor and the doctor says, or even a friend, and the friend says, I think you're going through grief and maybe you should get some help. So the person decides, okay, now I have knowledge. I'm no longer ignorant, I have knowledge. I go for help, and the next step is this term called kama, which is desire. So my desire in that situation is to be in a better situation for myself. Like, let's say the example of wanting to sleep. The person wants to sleep better, so the intention is my sleep will be better if I can get through this. So they go do that. And then this is the intention. So I do the action of seeing, the person does the action of seeing the counselor or going through the process of this is how I understand grief. And then that's the karma. The karma is the action or inaction, by the way. So if someone has knowledge, I know that grief is affecting myself or the people around me from the energy that flows through me. That is the understanding, not that, oh, there's a lot of grief around us. It's the personal understanding. I understand now that this is an energy that emanates from me, affecting my own body, mind, and soul, and then affecting the bodies, minds, and souls around me. That's the knowledge. The kama is that desire to, I want to work on this, to make this a better space, to allow better energy to flow. Now, whether that goal is so that I feel better, like the sleep, or if it's, maybe I'll lift up the energy of my office. Maybe I'm the CEO of this company. Maybe I'm the instructor in this classroom, whatever it is, I need to improve. I choose because I understand, I have the knowledge, I have the understanding, have the desire to improve. Now I need the action. I can read through the information, I can learn it, and I know it. I'm not really doing anything that different. And most people will fall into this, and all of us do, as I'm saying I did. And so to not judge ourselves for that, because again, don't we want to just be done like a course that, oh, I figured it out, I learned it, I did it, I should know it, and then I say that I should know it. But am I practicing it? And this is what I would encourage us to do, is to regularly check in with ourselves. Do I understand how important grief is affecting my own body? Because it will affect our body, it will affect our mind. Do I understand that it's not even limited to my body? It's going to leak out into the environment around me. So I'm looking at my workplace is so gloomy. Am I gloomy? So find out, because it's possible that you are. But even if you put a smile on your face, doesn't mean you're lifting the energy. And only you will know the true energy that's coming through you from your awareness. The outside might not see it on your face, but the energy felt will be different. So that's important, that I have this intention of making this difference. And then the practice is not a one-day thing, it's a moment by moment thing. And then if you fall, if you spend energy in thinking, how is it I didn't do that? I should know this. I've learned this. I've done it. I've seen the difference when I do it and I didn't do it. That energy itself is low vibration. It was like, okay, that's what happened. I didn't do it this time. Okay, you know what? I know in this moment I center myself first and then I do whatever else. Center ourselves first. And that's the most important thing, that no thoughts of, wow, this is so great. Let me pat myself on the back. That's pushing my ego. And that also comes from that kama desire place. I want to feel good about something. So if someone does grief recovery because they want to be able to tell all the people who said, you should really get help, they go through some counseling, some therapy, some reading, whatever way, and they can say, guess what, I did this, I did it, but I don't really see any difference. Because they didn't put their heart and soul into it, and it's not a moment situation that's done. It's not a course and it's done, and it's like, that's for the rest of my life. No, it's a practice. It's a practice. It's a practice. And this is something that I would encourage us to do regularly. But it also means that if you are guided by someone, trust that there are going to be things that you may miss that another will catch. And yes, I will definitely say grief recovery is such a wonderful, wonderful tool. And there is a book and people can read it. And I can tell you that anyone that I've worked with in the past, and hopefully will be working with in the future too, they know that not only am I reading and following the guidelines, I have an energetic connection with the clients that I work with. I am working from a different space that I feel is a blessing both for me, for my own blessing flowing through here, and for the blessing for the people that I work with. And you will know your connection with anyone that you work with, or even with yourself. And a lot of times people are based on truth. I'm actually doing the exercise, I'm actually doing everything that the book is saying, and not recognizing that perhaps I'm not as well versed in this as I think I am. And if you need help, there are so many people who practice this. Again, I will come back to Canada sometime soon. I can't tell you when yet because I don't know yet. I'm waiting for guidance from the universe. I just know that it's close, it's coming, it's around the corner somewhere. Either way, you don't have to wait for me. There's so many people that think this way, practice this way, and at the end of the day, it's no one else that's going to do the work except yourself. Right now, have the understanding and the knowledge to start the steps of the desire to, can I make a difference in the space that I'm in? Can I make a difference for the space that my body is in? Can I, because I can, start this journey with true intention to follow through in every moment, recognizing what energy is emanating from me. This is what I wish for all of us, and honestly, it is a wonderful, wonderful tool to work with. And for someone who has worked with grief with clients with so many years, and certainly with family too, and friends, and we all have, I do know that from a very young age, I've been drawn to understanding grief. And for this person to be letting you know that of all of the tools that I've seen, this is the process that I've seen as most beneficial. And it still does require that the individual hold it and walk with it. And when they forget, to have the self-forgiveness, to say, it's okay, I've forgotten, I can go through my notes that I wrote, but something's different and maybe I'm not seeing something. And then go through it again, and then go through it again. And eventually you won't need to go through it again with someone. You'll do it on your own. And again, I strongly encourage this. I do feel it's one of the best things I've ever come across. I wish you a fabulous day or night ahead of contemplating this, reflecting on the grief or loss in your own life, and knowing that you can change it. And not only will you change yourself, but you will start alchemizing the world energy that we're feeling. I wish you a fabulous day or night, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day or night, everyone.